Hey, Coach, can you talk about the anticipation of this game? I've been around KUK State's competitions a long time and don't remember a women's matchup like this where you've got two projected tournament teams both playing really well. What does it mean to have this kind of a matchup at home tomorrow?
Well, I think it's an important game for both programs, obviously, in regards to league standings, potential NCAA tournament seeding. We've both been fortunate to have really good years. Our records are extremely similar, and it's. I know speaking from my point of view, it's the next game on the schedule, but has big implications in terms of positioning for not only conference tournament but potential NCAA tournament seeding.
Brandon, you look back at Holly's going to probably reach 1,000 points in this game. She'll be the first one.
How far off is she?
She's 8 points away. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love that.
She'd be your first. Obviously, Kylie had 1,000 points a couple of years ago, but you didn't recruit her in there. What would that mean for you and for her and kind of this new wave of Kansas basketball to have that to accomplish, even for someone who's still midway through her junior year?
Holly's had a terrific career here to this point. I think we recruited her as kind of an energy guy and a defender, somebody that could get out and transition, and discovered that she's a hell of a shooter. And we spent most of her freshman year, really getting on her to shoot the basketball. And I think as she transitioned into last year, she came in with a completely different mentality, and has continued to try to grow her game. I think it says a lot about her willingness to work and our coaches. She's had some really good coaches who've worked with her in terms of her skill development.
You basically pulled her out of Oklahoma State's backyard down there. What do you remember about her recruitment? Was it fairly difficult? Did you have to win her over?
I mean, we recruited her hard. I think I remember TCU being in the picture, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, and ourselves. I think were her top four. But she grew up. She spent some time. Her family lived in Kansas briefly. Spent some time in Kansas, and they've always been Jayhawk fans. Their obvious tie with Coach Self. Chuck, her father, played high school basketball with Coach, and so they grew up coming to KU games. And I think when we offered, she was really excited about the opportunity to be a Jayhawk.
It's going to be a great matchup at the post, Tiana and Lee. What's Ty learned? How's she improved since that first game? What kind of a battle do you expect in the paint?
Yeah, I think her improvement is. I think we really see on the offensive end of the floor. I think when we look back at that film, defensively, she didn't make a lot of mistakes. And I thought she really did a good job of trying to have, Lee take contested shots. And I think Lee got 25 on 20 attempts. And that was a big part of, we wanted her to take a lot of shots to score that many. And I thought the twin was successful in that regard. I think, we probably wore down too much and it affected her offensive performance. So, this time around, I think we have to consider, maybe doing some different things.
Brandon, when you look at your ability to close out games, Holly was just mentioning that a lot of those times you've been in that situations because you play with the lead. Kansas State last time out was the opposite, where you had to rally from 16 down. What is it about the mentality of your players that puts them in a position where they can do that pretty reliably now lately?
I think they've learned, from those situations. We try to evaluate those, whether we have success or whether we fall short. we learned a great deal from our Baylor game, in which we felt like we could have closed a lot better in that game. But even in the K-State situation, we watched a lot of that film. The third quarter that put us at that deficit, and tried to learn from that. I think we just have a mature group, that's willing to look at film and try to grow and make improvement.
Brandon, you mentioned the potential for both these teams to make the NCAA tournament. When you look at your own team right now, do you feel like solid in the field? Do you feel you still have work to do to solidify that spot? Just when you talk about that potential, how do you feel about the strength of your own team's resume right now?
Well, I think we have work to do. I think it's there's a lot of games left to be played. I feel like 10 or more wins in this league, I think you're pretty comfortable. During the selection show, I think 9, you could be sweating a little bit just based on, past history. But I think, to make the tournament out of this league, I think you've got to get to 9 or 10, and we're not there yet, and we've got some big games ahead of us. And if you look at the back end of our schedule, it's against obviously the top tier of the league.
Hey, Brandon, you talked a lot about your girls celebrating all these milestones along the way, beating somebody for the first time in X number of years or sweeping somebody. I know you've talked a lot about that. Are you finding that it's easy for them to do that? I mean, are they taking to that pretty well?
They are, because I think they understand that, along the way in any mission, there's checkpoints, and there's maybe small victories or things that have to be accomplished, to achieve the ultimate goal. And I think that's really, really important. It's really, really hard to win at this level. It's really hard to win in this league. And it takes a lot of hard work, time, dedication, a little bit of luck here and there. And when you have success, I think it's important to celebrate those things. And I think it's an opportunity to have some fun too, and I think they've done a really good job with that. And I give a lot of credit to our staff who have been very creative in coming up with some cool ways to celebrate maybe some of those milestones.
Can you share them? Any of those? Or they?
I'll give you one. I mean, we swept Oklahoma State for the first time, I think, since 1996, and we had a player only / manager only dinner where we allowed those guys to, have a really nice meal in a private room here in town and just interact with each other. And our managers are incredible and are really, really big part of any success that we have. So we included them in that as well.
Coach, Dre Bradley here for the University Daily Kansan. What is the feeling like in the locker room before such a big game against such a big rival as K-State, coming off 4 straight conference wins for the first time in program here that you've been here coaching at this program? So what's the feeling like in the locker room?
I think oftentimes you have to dial back emotions in games like this. I think it's really important to talk about poise and composure. You want to play with emotion, but you don't want to be emotional. And that's some of the things that we talk about.
Coach, Turnpike Tussle or Sunflower Showdown?
Hey, both are great rivalries. we had some incredible battles over the years, with Washburn. I think, I'd like to continue to have more success in the rivalry that I'm currently engaged in.